this debacle of the last week that the Prime Minister's presided over continues into this week. You had Jim Chalmers out there flying kites, sanctioned obviously by the Prime Minister because Labor just isn't committed to the Stage 3 tax cuts. And the whole idea of the Stage 3 tax cuts is to help people on incomes between $45,000 and $200,000 a year so that 95% of taxpayers will pay no more than 30 cents in the dollar. Now, Labor has reluctantly come out over the course of the weekend to say, well, look, we're still considering it, but we aren't going to make any changes or amendments to it now. And that's the sort of uncertainty that kills confidence. And Labor will always make the wrong decisions when it comes to the budget and to the management of the Australian economy. And at the moment, we need certainty because we know the headwinds are significant, particularly in the United Kingdom and the United States. It looks with certainty that they both, and other countries of course, will go into recession over the course of the next 12 months. The economy that was inherited by Labor is particularly strong because over the course of the last 9 years, we made decisions in successive budgets to strengthen the economy. We have a 50-year low of unemployment. We have debt which has gone up because of JobKeeper and the response that we had to provide over the course of COVID, but is still relatively low compared to other OECD countries. And we have a defence minister out at the moment who, I mean, it has been comical today. I thought Richard Marles's comments this morning were nothing short of, frankly, comical because what he's saying is that when he was in government, when Labor was last in government, the spending was at the lowest level since 1938, and somehow the problems of Labor not ordering frigates or corvettes or fighter jets or submarines during their whole time in government, that somehow that was the fault of the coalition government when we were in power. So it's a comical distraction away from the woes of the last week over the Stage 3 tax cuts. It just doesn't make any sense in terms of his own argument. And I tell you, when you hear Labor talking about quality spending within defence, read cuts to defence. And they're trying to push to the right these project costs beyond the forward estimates into the out years. That's a tricky move by Jim Chalmers, who, don't forget, only got his doctorate from studying Paul Keating and was the Chief of Staff to Wayne Swan. So if you think he's off to a bad start in life, you're right. And if you're relying on him to make economic decisions in the best interest of our country, well, you'll be hoping for a long time. So I'm happy to take any questions.
Mr Dutton, just on energy, one of the largest electricity retailers today has said that energy prices next year could soar by as much as 35% amid a choppy energy transition and the closure of coal mines. Are you concerned about this, and what should the government be doing to ensure energy affordability?
Well, look, I think energy is the biggest ue of our time. I think it's the reality that families today, when they open their bills this afternoon or tonight, they're struggling to know how they pay it today, let alone if it's 35% higher under Labor by the time the bills come in 12 months' time. One thing that I do know is that the Prime Minister went to the last election promising on 97 occasions that they would reduce electricity prices by $275. The Prime Minister has never made mention of that figure since he was elected in May. And if you think the Prime Minister's been tricky in relation to tax cuts, he's been even trickier in relation to that promise, that solemn promise he gave to reduce electricity prices that he's now walked away from. So it is going to be difficult, and if coal mines are closed prematurely, or coal-fired power stations are closed prematurely, if there is a disruption to the gas supply in this country, what is going to firm up renewables? The battery in South Australia lasts for 75 minutes. You've got hydrogen, which might be a reality in a decade's time. You've got some hydro in the scheme, but really at the margins. And how do the lights stay on overnight time? If the solar panels worked overnight time, fantastic. But the fact is that they don't. So you need to be able to firm up that energy, and Labor is putting us on a path to not only have huge increases in electricity bills and gas bills, but also to make it unreliable. We've seen rolling blackouts in California. We've seen huge issues in Germany. I think this winter, as people point out, there'll be some families who are talking about heating or eating, and I don't want to see our country go down that path, but that's the path that Labor is taking us down.